Okay, so in this video, we're going to connect two networks together. So I've laid my network out. I've got a router, two switches, and four PCs, two PCs on either side of the router. So I've made myself a little note here. So anything to the left of the router is going to be on the network 192.168.1.0. Anything to the right of the router is going to be 192.168.2.0. It is good practice to put your notes near the devices just to sort of say which IP addresses are, just for your own clarity, because you can get things mixed up pretty easily. You can also highlight over the router and you can see your port statuses. So you can notice gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0 is down, so is 0/0/1, and so is 0/0/2. So we're going to need to change that. So straight into clicking onto the router itself, click on CLI. I don't want to enter configuration mode, initial configuration dialog, sorry. And again, another command you can use is show interface. That command shows you the statuses of each interface, so it's just another way. A bit more. If you were had a real life router in front of you, you'd need to enter that command rather than hovering over it with a mouse in this sort of simulation tool. So you'll notice here we've got gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0 is down, and there's just a load of information here which we will go through in later weeks as to what it means. If you keep going down, it's got the other ports as well, 0/0/1 is down, and so on. So from the previous video, we've got our first two commands, which we should know now. Configure enable and configure terminal. And then I am going to want to configure interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0 first. Okay, so I'm into that interface now, or into that port now. I want to give that an IP address. So remember, it's on the left hand side, so it's -1.1. And then we need to give it a subnet mask as well, which we'll go into what that means in later weeks. Okay, so that's given it an IP address. Now, I'm not shutting to open the interface itself. So if I start again from back here, exit and exit, configure terminal again, and then change the interface to gigabit 0/0/1. Okay, so this one's going to need a different IP address. It's going to be 192.168.2. Same mask 255.255.255.0, and no shutdown to open that port, and that router is up and running now. So as you can see, it's green now. This one's currently sort of talking to the router, and it's going to get active very shortly. So those IP addresses I've put in are effectively the default gateway for each of these networks. So these PCs here, if I click on one of those and go to IP configuration on the desktop, so I'm going to give this IP address the next one, which would be 1.2. And the default gateway is the address of the router. I'm not going to put a DNS server address in yet, but we're going to do that in later videos. So notice that it's the next IP address here, and the default gateway is the address of the router. So I can close that down, and I'll do the same on this one. So IP configuration 192.168.1.3, and then again, gateway is the gateway of the router on this network. Okay, so that's done. Now I need to do the same to these PCs here. So now it's very important to understand now this one's on a separate network, so it's going to need a separate IP scheme or IP address. So it'd be 2.2, and the default gateway is the router address of this network, which is 2.1. And then the next one is 192.168.2.3, and the router address again of this network. Okay, so that should be a working network now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test that I can do a ping from this network to that network. So the last PC I configured was PC2. If I hover over it, it should tell me what IP address is, 192.168.2.3. So if I go to command prompt, ping 192.168.2.3, should get a reply. Now your first one will probably time out because it's like a road, it needs to find its way, and then you'll get a reply from the next three. Press the up arrow again and run the same command, it'll get 4 replies. Okay, so that's a working network. Key takeaways are how I sort of configure the IP addresses for each side of the network, and I'll see you in the next video.